Let me tell you about the week the Navy's crown jewel of $4.3 billion floating marvel turned into a deadweight out on the Pacific, and how, against every rule and protocol, the only thing that brought her back was not cutting-edge tech, not some PhD in a crisp white lab coat, but a retired black sailor, a battered notebook, and a 30-year-old wrench that should have been in a museum. Yeah, that happened. Picture this. It's just past 0400. The USS Halcyon is drifting 120 miles off San Diego. Dead in the water, no forward motion, no weapons, comms sputtering on fumes, this monster hybrid ship with AI systems so secret they don't let half the crew near them had just decided, nah, I'm done. Captain Elise Brannon, who's got the kind of command presence you can feel even before she enters the room, is pacing like a wolf in the briefing room, making the call nobody wants to make. We need outside help. Now, nobody on that boat wanted to admit it, but fear was setting in. Morale was down, engineers snapping at each other, even the petty officers, the ones always joking, always laughing, were silent, moving through chow line like ghosts. The air was thick, all hope dried up, and every single so-called top consultant in the system either refused to get involved or quit after one look at the data. That's when Admiral Pike, hard-nosed and never one for Hail Marys, tells his assistant, "Find me Raymond Ellis." Not call, not ask if he's available. Find. The man had been out of the game for 8 years, just fixing boat motors in Norfolk, minding his own business, living above a garage, and not missing a single Navy reunion. Pike remembered Bahrain, where Ellis once rerouted a whole grid with nothing but a wrench and a sketch pad. And apparently the Admiral trusted that gut more than all the AI in the fleet. So when Ellis lands on the Halcyon by Black Hawk, nobody salutes. Nobody really knows who he is, just this old sailor in worn boots, a faded windbreaker, creases in his face, deep as a riverbed notebook under his arm, stethoscope around his neck. Most of the engineers think he's the janitor. You know what I mean. The guy doesn't even have a laptop. He asks 3 questions. What's she running? What's she not doing? And who adjusted the heat sink capacitors after the shutdown? Then tells everyone to back off so he can listen. And that's exactly what he does. Presses his stethoscope to the core, stands dead still, and listens. Not looking for data, just the sound of fear and confusion in a machine that doesn't want to talk. Ellis figures it out in 60 seconds. The system isn't broken, it's defending itself. She's not busted, he says she's scared. Now, if you're not Navy, that sounds nuts, but you ever see a ship act up because somebody tried to fix what wasn't broken in the first place? He's not talking about ghosts, he's talking about instincts. The feel of a system that's out of tune because someone ignored what the machine was really telling them. So Ellis tracks down a capacitor wrong type swapped during a prototype test years ago, one that the AI can't see, so it reads every reset as an attack. He yanks it, tells a young tech to salvage a new one from the comms relay, then sits on the floor like he's got all the time in the world, soldering by hand, everyone hovering nervous. No gloves, no diagrams, just decades of memory, and a language no one else on that boat even knows. When it's done, Ellis doesn't make a big show. He tells Patel, the chief engineer, to cycle the primary and let her come back on her own. It's quiet, the kind of quiet where you can feel every heartbeat in the room. Then the lights flicker, diagnostics come up, system after system ticking green, and the Halcyon comes back to life with this deep, honest hum like she's been holding her breath for days. Even the AI seems relieved. Now here's where it gets good. The Navy, of course, doesn't see this as a win. They see it as a mess. A retired chief, no clearance, no contract, just fixed what every top mind in the Pentagon couldn't. Brannon gets called in for debriefs. Urgent encrypted messages, nobody's congratulating her, they're asking for explanations. How did it happen? Why did nobody catch the error? Who's responsible for letting a civilian into the Corps? Ellis, for his part, just shrugs. Tell them I brought donuts, he says, dry as the desert. Meanwhile, the real lessons are happening below deck. Ellis gathers the engineering crew, Patel, Darby, HOA HYUN, a civilian systems whiz, and Morris, a young petty officer, still green around the ears, and tells them, you can't program instinct. You gotta listen twice before you touch anything. Machines lie, or at least they hide what's really wrong, and the AI will lock you out if you ignore the bones it was built on. That's how you lose good ships and good people. Of course not. Everyone is convinced. One smug tech tries to needle Ellis, says you can't listen to a machine. Ellis doesn't blink. You ever crawl a pipe chase with 40 seconds of air left waiting for a valve to blow? The room goes quiet. The lesson lands, even if nobody wants to admit it. But before he leaves, something small and perfect happens. Morris, the young tech, chases Ellis down to the landing pad, hands him back his notebook, asks if he can ever learn to hear a ship the way Ellis does. Ellis just says, "You already started. Next time get quiet. Don't rush. Let the machine tell you." The look on the kid's face, you could see he'd never forget it. Brannon catches up to Ellis right before the chopper, thanks him, but also wonders what happens when there's nobody left who knows how to listen. Ellis just hands her his father's old wrench, says, to save it for the next sailor who's too young to be right and too old to still be learning. You could see she understood it was never about the rules, never about the medals or the manuals. It was about listening when no one else would. Ellis flies out the Halcyon back under power, but the brass are already spinning the story, pushing it down into paperwork where it'll die a quiet death if they have their way. But back in Norfolk, Ellis starts something new. He grabs a fresh notebook and starts writing not instructions, but the things you learn after the manuals run out. The sound of a relay about to fail. How to trust your hands over a screen, the moments that matter when everything else goes dark. And just when he thinks he's finished, the Navy comes knocking again. Commander Cho calls from the training school in Gulfport, wants him to come talk to the next generation, not about procedures, but about what the machines won't tell you. At first he resists, but by the end of the week, Ellis is sitting with a circle of young trainees sharing stories and truth. You'll panic one day, he tells them, and the machine will stop talking. You can't let panic speak first. Listen twice before you touch. A young woman asks if machines remember us. Ellis just smiles. Maybe. Better question, will you remember them? That's how it ends, or maybe how it just keeps going. Because sometimes the only thing that saves us is listening even when everyone else has given up. And if this story hits you, go ahead and share it. Ask yourself, do we listen enough to the people, the places, the machines before we decide what's broken and what's worth saving? Drop your thoughts below, right or wrong. It's how we keep learning. And if you know someone who's forgotten the value of experience, send them this. Sometimes the next generation is just waiting for you to speak up.